systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the MLB 10-game breakdown, 10-game slate breakdown. Wow, jumbling my words off the top here.
Gummy kicking in, huh?
Yeah. Not yet. Not until later. But I was up early on the golf course by 6 a.m. off the tee. Played 36 holes, so we're a little beat. We got some nice weather here, obviously in the Midwest. I'm sure you're feeling it over there in Detroit. Finally decent. A little bit cooler today than it has been, so it was a nice little break, but beautiful weather for golf. Early mornings, you love it out there on the golf course, and, hey, we got 10 games. We got Coors Field. We got the two best strikeout arms in baseball that it feels like people want to play, but they don't really want to play when it comes time to build lineups because it is hard to, quote-unquote, hard to fit them, and people look at guys like Sheehan, guys like Reid Detmers, Reid Nelson, Liberatore, and say, hey, I can just play these guys and then spend up and play the Dodgers. I can play Coors Field, and that seems like it's pretty fun. So we'll do our best to navigate it. Fun slate ahead here, Gyiraszin. I'll bring you in, man. Happy Tuesday. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, hey, good little slate here we got on a Tuesday night. Kind of feeling like you are, Nades. I'm about 20 years older than you, but, you know, freaking last couple days I've been a couple rounds of golf myself. And then I went to the Tiger game Friday night. I went to game 7 of the Piston game the other night, which was a great time, but obviously they sucked. And then yesterday I walked my ass all around Cedar Point and did 30,000 steps and went on some roller coasters. So, you know, I just feel like I've been in a fucking fart in a whirlwind here in the last week. But, you know, hey, you got to live life, have a little bit of fun. So we got a Tuesday night baseball slate. I think you and I talking beforehand. I think we're seeing it pretty close to the same. I mean, there's all kind of options. I mean, we got a 10-game slate with a Coors Field and no team over 5 team total. Like, that's kind of odd. Got 2 of the best strikeout pitchers in the game, and people are like trying to find reasons not to play them. So it's like kind of a weird kind of thought, actually, if you think of it that way. But yeah, Nate, hey, we're past our birthday week. We got to get back to we can't be celebrating anymore over here at Ship It since we got past that. But yeah, I mean, surprising too, just to see it was the 1-year anniversary of the big guy in the sky from last year, which I know tore us all apart. But we had to go on the air first, Nades, I believe, and I know we had a hard time with that. It was hard getting through that one. But yeah, I mean, we already missed the big guy, just his innovation, everything he did. I mean, his videos were just top notch. Nobody's even come close to the damn videos my man did. Like, they were just incredible. So yeah, cheers to the big guy up in the sky. No Tambo and the team here got some things in the future coming down the pike. Would sound like it's going to be pretty sweet. But yeah, man, just time flies, man. Damn, time flies.
Yeah, it was. I know we were right here, right? Yesterday, a year from yesterday, right? The 18th. Unfortunately, we got the news there, and he left us. But hey, he's gone, but never forgotten, right? Shout out to him for everything he's done for Ship It Nation and all the tools, including the stone, which obviously we highlight and we have kept as a legacy piece that he brought over. So rest in peace to our guy D-Gen. But he, like I said, he's looking over all of us, looking over all of our lineups, and yelling at all those new guys in the back, right? Asking if they built their lineups yet. So hopefully you haven't built your baseball lineups yet. We got 3 confirmed lineups of the 20 teams. So probably a bad idea there. You can start messing around with builds and stuff, but good reminder there to obviously consume the content, get everything you need, and then take a look at your lineups there. But we got Sean Sully in here, Ricky Rose, Wins a Lot, Warren Tyler, Philly Phantom, Jake Swales, Deacon, R.K. Klein, Scooter McGavin, Peter Porker, Philly, everybody in here. Hit that like button. Helps us out a ton. And got to give a shout out to my guy, Kenny W., right? This dude just crushes every sport. Picked up his 3rd live final last night, dusted the field. So he's got 3 seats out there for a part-time baseball guy. That's pretty damn good. More than most can say, obviously, let alone have one, let alone multiple. So he's back to donate there. And obviously he plays in the nosebleed stakes where you won't see him unless you're playing the 5K, 3K, 2K buy-ins. Him and Shalhoub can battle it out in the Discord there, and some of our other higher stakes members there. So good luck tonight. I know he always tunes in, supports the baseball here, and very sharp mind in his own right. But yeah, let's jump right in. Gyiraszin, what do you say? We'll go pitching. Pitching for me, headlined with the two. Well, not the two. I'll say Misiorowski and Cease, obviously the 2 best arms on the slate. 2 of the best strikeout arms, the best strikeout arm in Misiorowski, and then right there with Cease as well. So far this season, their ownership, Miz is going to get played at probably right around 30%, but I think that's going to kind of moonwalk back. Shout out to our guy DGen and his terminology leading up the lock. Because it's hard to build lineups, right? Overall, the lineups that people want to play, and then they look at guys like Emmett Sheehan, Zebby Matthews, Ranger Suarez, Reid Detmers for sure when we get below 8K. It just feels a lot safer, right, to play those guys, quote unquote safer. I will say, use air quotes there, to build lineups, right? For me, Misiorowski's far and away my SP1 on the slate. It's not a great matchup by any means. There is some wind in Wrigley, but I mean, you just saw what freaking Brandon Sproat did to this damn Cubs team yesterday. Brandon Sproat's nowhere near the same repertoire as Jacob Misiorowski, and Misiorowski's to the point where he's matchup proof, right? I mean, this dude has just electric stuff. He's insane. You saw what he did against the Yankees. The Cubs offense is good, but the wind isn't like howling. It's like 60 degrees. It's not like it's 80 or 90 like it is in some places, like it is in the Bronx that we're going to talk about there. So for me, it's definitely Misiorowski over Cease, even with the extra $1,000 there. Cease, I think, is a great option. I do like roster construction of kind of pairing those 2 guys together and just going in on it. But if I were to pick on one, I definitely pick on Cease more than I would pick on Misiorowski, just with the weather there. It's like 95 degrees in the Bronx. You got wind blowing out in Yankee Stadium, and you got one of the best lineups in baseball against right-handed pitching. So there's definitely downside to not just Dylan Cease, but also Misiorowski. That's kind of why people and why I expect ownership to kind of moonwalk back leading up to lock there. Will Warren's been really good. Feels like an expensive price point to pay for him in a not great strikeout matchup there. And that's why we see guys like Emmett Sheehan, who's been really good, 8,500, pitching out in San Diego, really good pitcher's ballpark. We've been streaming right-handed pitching against this Padres lineup all season long. Sheehan, like I said, has looked good. So if there was one guy that I think is a really good play, even getting ownership, I think Sheehan's really interesting. Yeah, there's some guys that could get to him there, but in retrospect to the slate, 8,500, I won't be shocked to see him post 25 DraftKings points and him being points per dollar wise the best guy on the slate. So I do like him. I think Landon Roop's interesting. I think Zebby Matthews coming off a really, really good start. Again, another righty against this Houston Astros lineup. Zebby can get wild at times, so I think you could play both sides there. He's going to be probably right around 15% ownership or so. And then Ranger Suarez at 8K. He's showing a ceiling on the year. Gets this matchup against Kansas City, which I know is your favorite team in baseball to talk about. Good pitching weather in Kauffman Stadium, unlike yesterday. And yesterday we saw that game scuffle as well, right? So I think he's really interesting. You got some wind blowing in Kauffman Stadium, temperatures in kind of the upper 50s there. So it is good pitching weather for him as well. So for me, up top, it's Misiorowski number 1. Dylan Cease is a great option, but I'm probably going to play Dylan Cease more so paired with Misiorowski than I'm going to play Dylan Cease on his own. That's just kind of how I'm approaching it, because I do think the Yankees are really interesting when we talk bats with the way the landscape shakes out. But I think there's a lot of arms up here, and ideally I'm going to try and play 2 of these guys and avoid the Reid Detmers and some of these cheaper guys that everyone wants to slam into their lineup. So break down this top tier. I think you can play a lot of these guys. The only guys I really don't have or the only guy I really don't have much interest in is Mitch Keller there. But go ahead and break down this top tier.
Yeah, I mean, you start at the bottom at 8K with Ranger Suarez against Kansas City. I mean, yeah, he's a really good, he's a real good pitcher in real life. I mean, he hasn't really been getting the strikeouts in the last few starts. But Nades, what really worries me about him is he's left his last 2 starts in mid-70 pitches with some kind of an injury. That does worry me a little bit. Last time it was fatigue, come on, man. It's just, to me, it's just something don't seem like maybe he's a little bit off. So I'm going to leave Ranger Suarez alone. I mean, I'd see a reason why if I felt like he was healthy and he was getting in the 90 pitches, I think, Ranger would be somebody that I would think would be a great pivot off some of these other guys that like Reid Detmers and some of these other guys are going to be pretty chalky. Matthews against Houston, I think, is interesting. As you said, he came out, had that pretty good start last time. He came out against the Twins team, had 5 Ks, didn't give up any runs, and he went 83 pitches. So that wasn't too bad. So I think Matthews is a guy I definitely leave in my pool. Don't mind him at all. Mitch Keller, I'm not really too sure about. I'm not going to have him in my pool. I don't really like his matchup. Obviously, the Cards. I think the Kellers just doesn't have it for me, to be honest with you. I don't like it. Sheehan now against San Diego, as you mentioned, I think he's going to be fairly chalky today. I think Detmers is going to get a little bit more ownership than him. I think with Sheehan, for me, you look at these Padres, I mean, he's got Lariano at the bottom of that lineup. Everybody else is pretty much under 20% for a strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. But this Padre offense does not really worry me at all. Fernando Tatis sitting up at the top of their lineup, who probably, if anybody in kind of even remotely knew baseball, would tell you he's their best hitter. And Nades, last I checked, I don't even think that dude's got a home run yet. So, I think they're the bottom of baseball in offense, all at offense. The strikeouts, really aren't there. But I don't fear the offense. And with Sheehan, I think if he wasn't getting the ownership, I think I'd feel a little bit better about him. But I think I feel better about him than I do Reid Detmers, to tell you the truth. So if you're going to ask me who I like better, Sheehan or Detmers, I'll definitely go with Sheehan. We'll get to Detmers and the reason why. I mean, really, Detmers, go look at his game log. Dude's had like one game. It was like 33 points. Every other start's been no more than 18 points out of 9 starts. So it's like if a bunch of the field and all the chalk's going to be on fucking Detmers, I'll pass on that. What are we betting on? One time he's had a good start and 9 starts. I can find 18 points somewhere else. Like it shouldn't be that damn hard, Nate. So I feel like to me, Detmers isn't even in my conversation today, to be truthful with you. So I'll just let him go. Roop, I think, is really the guy I like as the pivot off Sheehan and all these guys here against Arizona. I think that one is pretty interesting. I think Roop is a really good play. Warren, I think just where he's priced up, especially on DK's 1,000 more, you got C sitting above him, and you got Miz. I think Warren's the guy that's going to get left out here in the shuffle. Warren's been pitching pretty decent here recent times. He gets a Toronto team that does have, middle part of that lineup. Okamoto's been at a 32%, Varsho 25%. Those are really the only strikeout guys he has, but he's at 32% strikeout so far against righties, almost 28% against lefties. So I think there is. I don't like the ceiling, but I like the floor of Warren. And then you get to Miz and Cease. I went back and forth with these guys. And Nades, I think the deciding factor for me, now on FanDuel, I like Miz. But I think on DK with that 1,000 difference, I think I'd like Cease a little better. You look at the strikeout percentages we're sitting here looking at for some of these spankies. And I mean, you got Judge at almost 26%, Jazz at 29%, McMahon 32%, Volpe 26%. They're going to try to jam in some lefties. If they get Wells, he's at 26%. I mean, you're looking at a 6 percentage point difference between Miz and the Cubs at a 19% strikeout rate against righties, and compared to almost a 26% K rate for these Yankees. Sure, the Yankees have some power, but Dylan Cease has been pretty damn good so far this year. And I think that would be the deciding factor for me, just because of salary. If they were close in salary, man, Miz has been a damn machine, man. I think he's got like 80 Ks and like freaking 50 innings. It's like he's pitching to Little League kids. Now, he did leave his last start a little bit early with a cramp. Now, cramps don't obviously worry me all that much. It just worries me left his last start. Like if anything even remotely goes sideways, they're going to yank the franchise off that mound. I can tell you that right now. So that does concern me just a little bit, Nades. But Dylan Cease for me, I think just because of the $1,000 discount and the more of the strikeout capability there, you got to go for it. But man, Miz is good, man. Like 6 out of 9 starts, that dude's been over 9 Ks or more. So I mean, it's kind of hard to not want to play a guy like Miz. But I like your thought process, Nades, where you're thinking about playing Miz and a Cease. When we get to the offenses, like the Angels are cheap, the Twins are cheap, all in good spots. I think it's going to be fairly easy to build different kind of builds with just some cheaper bats that that are going to be there. So I mean, yeah, I think high-end pitching is going to be the way to go. I think most people are going to have one of the two, and then they're going to jam in Sheehan or a Detmers or somebody along those lines. So yeah, I think playing the top 2 arms in baseball so far this year in strikeout percentage isn't a bad deal, Nades. I mean, if they both go out and get you 25 points or plus, I mean, that's going to be that. I almost guarantee you that will be the optimal lineup if that's the deal.
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of what you said. For me, I put Miz when you add in the park, the weather, and all of that. And I'd rather attack the Cubs than attack the Yankees against right-handed pitching, personally myself. But I do like pairing those two together. I think it's a really unique roster construction tonight because, like you said, right, most lineups are going to either have Miz and probably Detmers or Sheehan, or skip both of these guys and play Sheehan and Detmers, right? So I think
I got to go shut my front door. It's raining.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Yeah, so I do think for me, it's Miz number 1, then Sheehan number 2 when you consider the salary. I'm more interested in Ranger Suarez than what Gyiraszin does. I think he's really good. I like Landon Roop a ton too because I think he's an unknown pivot that nobody, especially after what Arizona did last night. Arizona popped off for 175 runs last night, it feels like. But much different matchup here than last night. Robbie Ray, right? We know what Robbie Ray is. It was also against the lefty. You look at Arizona, not the best strikeout matchup, but Landon Root looked really good so far this year. 31% K rate in 112 plate appearances. Keeps the ball on the ground as well. And, I mean, outside of Carroll, really, I mean, Marte's not really hitting right now. I think he's really interesting at 8,700 because he's going to be a fraction of the ownership of Emmett Sheehan. Nobody, if they're going in that range, they're just clicking Sheehan or they're going down to Detmers, like I said. So from a game theory standpoint, I think Roop's a really interesting play. And then I have interest in Will Warren too. I think Will Warren, everyone looks at the 9K and says, if I'm going to play that, why would I pay 9K for Will Warren against the Blue Jays in Yankee Stadium when I can just play Sheehan for $500 cheaper or go up $1,000 and play Dylan Cease on the other side of that game? I think Will Warren's interesting too because from a tournament standpoint and a strikeout matchup, 5.5K prop doesn't have a lot of juice there, but still hanging a 5.5. He's still been good. I still think he can have a good outing right there. So for me up top, it's like I said, Miz, Sheehan. I'll go Landon Roop, Ranger Suarez, Dylan Cease, Will Warren is kind of how I rank it. Zebby, I think, is interesting as well. I'm a little scared of Zebby, but I do think he has ceiling. I'm in on all of those guys that I just mentioned. Those 7 arms I'm interested in. And up at the top, I'm definitely going to have way more Miz than I'm going to have Dylan Cease. Because when we talk offenses, there's a lot of offenses on the slate that likelihood, I mean, it's probably not very likely, but the Yankees always have the power to do it and to win slates. And with that added boost for offense and weather there, like I said, in Yankee Stadium, that's why I'm a little bit lower on Dylan Cease. But I do think all of these guys up here are great plays. Down below, gets very dry pretty quickly. Detmers is the main talking point below 8K. Probably points per dollar wise, the best play in the slate. His K prop aligns, all the props really align for him down there. I don't know. I don't love it, but it's hard to argue, right? 6.5K prop, juice to the over at -128. Everything points to him being solid, but I don't know. I think he's interesting. I would rather, if I'm going down, I'd rather just go all the way down personally myself to Liberatore. I like Liberatore the most down here below 8K because he's going to be a fraction of the ownership of Reid Detmers. I think he can post a good game. His K props are solid. 4.5 K prop juice the over there, -121. Pirates, not super afraid of this lineup. I mean, yeah, O'Neal Cruz, they got some guys up at the top, but you look at strikeout rate against left-handed pitching, 36% for Mangum if he's in there. Ozuna's 31%. Triola, 37%. Brandon Lowe, 28%. There's strikeouts here with this Pirates lineup against left-handed pitching. So I do think Liberatore's interesting down there. Outside of that, I mean, Nelson, I think, is viable just in that game there, but Roof is going to be open in Arizona again. Decent place to hit tonight. I don't know. It's gross. So ideally, I want two of my starting pitchers above 8K because I think like Ranger, Zebby, Sheehan, Roop, those guys in that mid to low 8K range, I think are really interesting, and you can build really good lineups with those guys and not needing to go down here. How do you see the lower tier?
Yeah, the lower tier is bad. I mean, there really isn't anything too much. I mean, you talk about Liberatore. I don't mind him for 6,200. He definitely can get the job done. But as more you move up, I mean, you can go all the way up to Reid Nelson. I think Nelson is definitely somebody that you could look at. I mean, the Giants haven't been all that good. I mean, maybe I think Nelson's actually a better play to me than Reid Detmers, to tell you the truth. I am not a fan of Reid Detmers. I always tell myself in DFS, in all these situations where, you got a guy coming into a spot start or whatever the case may be, like in football or whatever else. To me, a pig's a pig, man. I don't give a shit how you dress it up. Reid Detmer is not very good, man. His last 4 or 5 starts, he's, one time I think he's been over. I was just looking at it. It's like one time he's been at 18 points. Every other time he's been like 6, 11, 10. And he's in the 90s as far as pitches go all the damn time, Nades. Go look, too. He's got 3 earned runs, 3 earned runs, 4 earned runs, 3 earned runs. So if he gets 5 or 6 Ks, half of them are going to get wiped out by his earned runs he gives up every time. So I'm not all that enamored with Detmers. I think I would rather play Liberatore or Nelson than Detmers. I think that's where I'd go. I see here a couple guys in the chat mentioned McCullers got scratched. I mean, nobody could really want to play that guy. I mean, that guy's got one good start in him every so often. I mean, other time he's like a damn kickball pitcher. So not interested there. But yeah, I mean, to me, I think for me, the focus for me in this slate, especially on DK, I just avoid Detmers for sure. I'm not a fan of that at all. I think there's some other pivots you can use down here in this range, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's all I would stress. I think Nelson for me is the guy that I like a little bit more than everybody else down there. I think if I had to, I put Nelson ahead of Liberatore as well. I don't mind attacking that Giants offense at all. I mean, you got a game sitting there, 8.5. You got Devers got some Ks, Chapman, Eldridge, Harrison Bader. Of course, Luis Ariz never strikes out, so does take you down to 8 guys in that lineup. But other than that, yeah, I think pitching's pretty easy, Nades. I mean, you got 2 of the best strikeout pitchers in all of baseball here going today, and they're both not going to be overly popular. I think, like you said at the top of the show, you just jam them in, and we can figure out some bats. As we roll through these games here and figure out different ways. I think we're going to figure out, Nades, there's a handful of stacks that are cheap enough that you can easily use to build around these guys. So, yeah, for me, on DK, it's Cease. On FanDuel, I like Miz. They're both in the same bucket above everybody else. I explained why I like Cease. It's just a little bit more strikeouts in that Yankee lineup, even though it's a little bit more dangerous. But I think if Cease is on, he's going to get that job done. He's got Will Warren across from them, so I like them. And then I think, as you mentioned, these other guys here, everybody's going to go to Sheehan and Detmers. I think I'd like Sheehan more. Detmers, I'd just wipe out. I'd probably have in Landon Root, Nelson, and then, like you said, too, a little bit of Liberatore, I think is the right way to go.
Yeah, I do. I think it's close between Liberatore and Nelson for me. Both are great plays, both 4.5 K props, both juice to the over. Pitch counts are really realistically pretty similar there. So, yeah, I don't really have much of a preference if the $500 means a lot for you in terms of your bats or your stacks, or if you really need the extra 500. Going down to Liberatore, I think is fine, but I do like both of those guys ahead of Detmers when you consider the ownership and everything. I mean, it's basically the same roster construction is playing Reid Detmers as it is Nelson. And it's a little bit different, obviously, than playing Liberatore because you get the extra $1,100, which goes a long way, right? On the slate, you go from the 3K range to the low 4K range in terms of hitter. That's usually a pretty big difference there. So for me, that's kind of the breakdown. I think all of these 10 pitchers right here are in play, but it's definitely Miz and Cease far and away the rest. And then Sheehan would be right there next for me. I think Sheehan's a really good play, even with the ownership. I'm not scared of that. I just like attacking this Padres lineup. You look at their split over the last 30 days, 27% K rate against right-handed pitching. Dodgers let Sheehan go. So I do think, all things considered, he points per dollar wise is definitely probably my favorite overall play on the slate when you factor in the salary there. Let's jump over and talk hitting. There's obviously a lot of arms that you can play. So when we talk offense here, not the best offensive spot here. I expect a fairly low scoring slate. Every time I slate that, it's usually you need 220 points to win a GPP. So we'll see how it works. But I just think I think offense is going to be pretty weak, and Vegas would tend to agree, right? No teams outside of Coors Field with a double-digit game total or a 5+ implied team total there. However, Yankees still do have a pretty damn good team total sitting here. They're going to be unowned tonight. I mean, you're talking like 30% combined stack ownership of 5 hitters. I know Dylan Cease has the strikeouts, but Gyiraszin, we've also seen Dylan Cease when he don't have it. He don't have it. I know this guy's matchup proof when he has his stuff. If he doesn't have his stuff, the Yankees have a very, very, very clear path at no ownership to win the slate. I talked about it. It's 94 degrees in Yankee Stadium. You got double-digit wind blowing straight out to center field. This is going to play very hitter-friendly. You look at how Cease has pitched against the Yankees in his career, sitting around a 20% K rate. I don't know. I can definitely see the upside for Cease. I can also see the downside very, very easily. I play tournaments that are very top-heavy. I like the Yankees a ton in tournaments here just because I don't think anybody plays them. I know Dylan Cease is great. I know he's a good arm. I know he's been pitching out of his mind. But going to face the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, first beautiful, super hot, nice day. I talked to one of my colleagues up in the Bronx. He was driving around. He said it's hotter than shit out there. He was sweating. He said it's like 96. The sun is beating on him. I don't know. I think this is a really interesting spot in tournaments for the Yankee stack that nobody's going to play. Don't love the Blue Jays as much, but I will call out Varsho and Jesus Sanchez and Pinango. Those guys are super cheap. You want the lefties if you want anything against Will Warren. So Varsho with home run upside and power there, 3,500 fits the bill. Pinango, like I said, 2,800, 3K for Sanchez. All of those guys have home run upside. So for me, full stacks on the Yankees, mini stacks on the Blue Jays. I do think this game is interesting when we talk hitting. What do you see here?
Yeah, I mean, it's real hard to go against Cease. I see your reasoning totally because out of 20 teams, the Yankees are in the top 5, a team total, and no one's going to play them. So with that fact alone, they definitely should be in your player, in your pool for stacks. But I mean, it just worries me with Cease. I mean, he's given up 1 home run all year. The dude just doesn't give up hard hit balls. He's been pitching very well. And that bullpen behind him is also one of the best. So I think that does concern me. I mean, I think this is a game that's actually going to be lower scoring. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a tight game. 2 good pitchers on the hill. I don't really like either side for bats, to be truthful. But, I mean, I'm not going to get to the Yankees because I'm just going to play 3 teams on FanDuel. But if I was playing a handful of teams on DK, yeah, I think you would have to. I mean, anytime the Yankees or a Dodger team is really low owned, I mean, and they're in the top 5 of the team total for the day, I mean, they're still not being talked about. Just a little bit odd. Like I said, that'd be the only reason I'd play the Yankees, because if you look under the hood, it's not really all that, glamorous to be attacking Cease and that bullpen. So that does scare me off just a little bit. But other than that, I mean, yeah, the offense is there for sure. Now, would you want to say, hey, if I play a handful of teams of Cease, should I have, if I do have a couple Yankees lineups, I think that'd be a decent way of kind of leveraging yourself off Cease, just because they'll be so lower owned. So, that may be a thought. If you're playing 20 lineups, maybe you have 1 or 2 Yankees. If you go pretty heavy Cease on DK, I don't mind that one at all. Maybe only have, maybe 4 or 5 teams without Cease. I think, that would be a good way to kind of mix it up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, overall, I don't really like either team here, but Nades, like you said, man, it's hard to avoid a team so good when they're not being played. I mean, every day we're going to say that for the rest of the year.
I just love this team against right-handed pitching. I know it's Cease. I know all of that. I don't need to say much more because the Yankees probably get shut out tonight, which is definitely in the realm of possibilities with Dylan Cease on the mound and the best bullpen in baseball behind him. I'm just playing tournaments. I see nobody playing a team that can easily break a slate and hit 4 home runs in good hitting conditions. I'll take a shot. So, yeah, I definitely –
one other point.
Yeah.
So if you look at the way the games are scheduled now, you have a 7:05, then you have 4 7:40s and a 7:45 game, and then you have an 8:40, and then you have 4 games at 9:40. So literally, Cease is going to be in the focus. You're going to get probably 2 or 3 innings of Cease. If you're getting pounded or whatever else, you can make some adjustments as this slate goes on because there's a batch of games in the middle and a batch of games at the end. And we got a chalkier pitcher that's going to be out the gate. So if Cease shits the bed, you can make some adjustments and do some other things. So just kind of a thought process too, from a strategy standpoint. That game's sitting in the window and it's got like 40 minutes before another game goes off. So, with the pitch clock era, I could see him getting in, 2, maybe 3 innings. I mean, I could see that happening.
I know, excellent breakdown or excellent point too, right? 35 minutes before the other games lock. There's definitely a lot that can go there, and you at least get more information than you had at the start of the slate, right? Obviously, everything is just projected going into the slate. Well, you actually will have actual ownership on Dylan Cease, Warren, the Yankees, all of that, and see how it goes, right? So at least that'll help you make the case for, okay, if Cease goes out there and you have him and he's not doing great, well, you probably want to pivot off of Sheehan or Detmers and something like that. And maybe you find a way to rework your stacks and go double spend up, like I said, if you don't already have Miz or something like that, right? So definitely pay attention to that. Great point there that you do make. Next game here, we're up in Kansas City. Talked about the weather in this one, not great for hitting. I don't know, this cat here pitching for the Royals, I'm assuming it's more of a bullpen game here. Don't expect him to go very long. Average inning pitch sitting around 2. Ranger Suarez, I had more interest than you did. He ranked really good in our pitcher rankings here. Bobby Witt against the lefty, sure. Sal Perez at 3K, still super, super cheap. Lane Thomas is going to get pinch hit for. Marte, probably pinch hit for. Lofton, probably pinch hit for. I don't love this game for offense. Red Sox are super cheap against the Kansas City bullpen, which is already not good, 4th worst in baseball. So Red Sox in tournaments, I mean, if this ownership is staying true, I think they're interesting. The offense has just been brutal, though. But I could see singles and doubles and a couple runs scored, maybe some stolen bases, be the winner on this kind of slate, Gyiraszin. It's just the way the offense is. So could 5 runs, 6 runs from the Red Sox be enough at their salaries if the pitching does what it can do? I think it's interesting. I know Saber's really high on the Red Sox in terms of optimizers. I don't see the projected ownership really being there, so naturally you should probably have some interest. Contreras has been red hot right now. He'd be my focal point in stacks or any Red Sox. I'd probably start with Wilson Contreras at 4,100. He's been really good. Rafaela, I think, is interesting. Duran, Abreu. That top 4 is still really solid. Duran, Rafaela, Abreu, Contreras. They have talent. Don't love the back half. I mean, Carlos Narvaez, Kinner Falefa, Nick Sogard, Monasterio. It would be more probably like 4-3 builds if I'm going to the Red Sox because I hate these back half. But if you're stacking it, let them trickle in. They can get there. They're dirt cheap. 26, 24, 23, 2K, 2,100. There's definitely a case salary-wise to make rosters, especially if you're doing a double spend-up roster with like a Dylan Cease, Misiorowski, or like a Will Warren, Misiorowski, something like that. I think the Red Sox have a place on the slate. But what do you see here?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the Red Sox just haven't been hitting all that well here recent times. I'm not really a fan of it, really. I don't really like generally attacking bullpen games. I think it just gives the manager such an edge to be playing matchups and stuff like that. So you are right, though. That Royal bullpen does suck. But, if you look at all the teams today, Nades, out of the 20 teams, I'd probably have them above the halfway line, but they're not in my top 5. They're probably, 6 to 8 range maybe today. It's just – that lineup, as you mentioned, isn't all that this doesn't tickle it for you. So, yeah, I'm really not too interested there. And then Ranger Suarez, yeah, you can't go against Ranger Suarez. He's just such a real good life pitcher that it just ain't gonna fare well for you. Heavy ground ball lean, but yeah, like I said earlier on the top, it just concerns me with his last 2 starts. Him getting yanked with 70 some pitches for an injury and then fatigue, and that just concerns me. I need to see him do it, and I think there's just too high end of pitching up at the top today for me to be taking a chance like that. But I just don't really like any of the offense here. There's some better spots for us to attack as we move through the games here.
Yeah, no, Red Sox definitely not a top stack for me, but I wouldn't be shocked in their salaries make it. Ideally, you want to stick to the top 4. Right, and if one of those other guys fizzles in, so be it. I could see a case there, but I do think the top 4 is pretty interesting, and then the top 3 from the Royals I think is also interesting. Garcia, Witt, Perez, they all hit lefties pretty solid there. So
I was going to do, Nades. You just remind me, like with this Kansas City Stadium, they're moving in the fences. I was thinking to myself, like, let's give it 8 weeks, 6-8 weeks, and see what the numbers look like compared to the past, just to see what kind of bump or not, if it really affected anything. It's just my brain kicks out once in a while, like, hey, maybe we should be researching that to see, if we need to bump up that Kauffman Stadium a little bit in our rankings a little bit there, Nate. So, yeah, that stadium has been better for hitting from what in my mind, but I don't have the numbers to back it up.
Yeah, I saw a thing. I can't find it now, obviously, being on the show, but I did post it in the Discord at the start of the year. They did a deep dive on the balls hit and home runs and stuff like that. What would have been home runs with the new dimensions compared to what weren't and were like flyouts and stuff. And it was a pretty significant difference based on last year's full season numbers. So it's definitely going to play above average or above what it was last year for hitting. The weather does not help that case here tonight, but I do think the Red Sox still have a spot on the slate, just with how overall weak the offense is on the slate for the most part. Next game on the slate, I do think this is a game to target for offense here. I think the Twins are super interesting. I don't love it now. That's probably going to be more of a bullpen game, but I care less about bullpen games when it's the Astros and the Twins, the 2 worst bullpens in baseball. Zebby Matthews looked really good in his first start, but that was also against Miami. You don't love Astros against right-handed pitching. I do think Yordan Alvarez, Zach Cole are 2 of the elite plays on this slate, and the Astros I don't see getting a lot of love. I think the Astros are pretty damn interesting here in tournaments, and same thing with the Twins. This is one of my favorite games on the slate from an offensive standpoint. The price tags are cheap, the ownership's not there, and it fits to spend up pitching, like how I want to build teams. So I'm going to go in on both sides of this game. I prefer the Twins a little bit more. Yeah, I prefer the Twins a little bit more just because I think Zebby does have talent. He can get wild. We saw it last year at times, but I do think this is one of the better offensive games on the slate. What do you see here?
Yeah, I got to agree with you. Too bad it wasn't Lance McCullers. Like we said, he has a good one every once in a while, and then he's just been pure ass the rest of the starts. But, man, like you said, this Houston bullpen is just garbage, man, just garbage. And you like the Twins because they fill up so many. They're so multi-versatile, with your stacks. They got so many guys that play different positions. So, that helps. And they're cheap. So, that helps you in your Miz and Cease type teams today, being able to stack up with Twins against literally the worst bullpen in baseball. Like, dude, that's like we've been talking about chasing after the Astros bullpen pretty much all year so far. So definitely not going to stop now. So, yeah, and you sit here and you look at like the Astros against the Zebby. Zebby did have a good start out his last time, but I think Alvarez stands out today on his own, just alone. You look at Zebby's numbers from last season. He's 25% K rate to the left side, 24%. But his fly ball rate was pretty high to the left side. He got barreled up last year pretty hard to the left side. So, Astros on our team, you really think, oh, man, they got a lot of good lefty bats because they only really have one. You got Cole that sitting there in the 5-hole that's fairly cheap. You could use maybe in like a mini type stack. And then if you wanted to throw in a guy like Pena, Paredes, or Walker in there, I don't mind that at all. I just don't like the Astros lineup from up to down. But, I mean, this Twins bullpen, as you said, too, sucks. You got two shit-ass bullpens in the same type game. And you got, obviously a bullpen game in the one, but you got kind of an unknown still with Zebby Matthews, even though he did come out and look pretty good. So, to your point, are people going to see that Zebby lit it up and then nobody's going to want to play any Astros because they're going to say, oh, this guy was, a pretty decent pitcher? But I don't give a shit. He comes out and throws 5 good innings, Nate. You get 4 innings of that, crappy bullpen. So, yeah, I think both sides are interesting. I do like the Twins a little bit more just because how versatile they are. You can move them all around. Pretty easy to stack up, and they fill them shitty, the middle infield positions pretty well. So, yeah, I mean, Buxton stands up at the top up there. But, yeah, Twins for me, I'm going to say they're my number 2 stack, Nades. I'm going to go number 2.
Yeah, I do worry a little bit. Guys like Larnach, Cody Clemens for sure, James Outman, Tristan Gray, those guys at that back half, because there is 2 lefties that are available here tonight in Brian King and Steven Okert. So there is some risk there for pinch hits for sure, but the non-pinch hit guys, Buxton being back helps this Twins lineup a ton. And if they bring in one of those lefties, obviously we love that. Josh Bell's been really, really good. Obviously he's a switch hitter there. Austin Martin, if he starts, which he is against a righty, if they bring in a lefty, I mean, he murders lefties. He sucks against righties. So him starting against a righty, he's probably pinch hit concern free. Brooks Lee, switch hitter, Caratini. So the Twins are super cheap. They fit positions that you don't typically love. You do have to make a choice between Cody Clemens and Josh Bell. I think I'd prefer Josh Bell just with the better certainty to play the full game. When looking at that, I think I do prefer the Astros side of this game more as a full stack, just because there's less pinch hit concerns there. And Zebby is still an unknown, like you said. And we've seen last year when Zebby came up, he's had starts where he just absolutely got shellacked, right? The Astros do have a decent roster, even against right-handed pitching, especially over the last month. You look at their numbers. Cole's been really good. Walker's good. Alvarez has been good. Shoemake's probably going to be in there, another lefty against Zebby. Paredes. And, you look at Zebby's first start, he did all of his strikeouts against lefties, which is scary. But against righties, he had a 9% K rate and 11 plate appearances. So he's going to see probably 6 right-handers here. He gets barreled up, gives us some hard hits. So there's definitely downside there for Zebby. And then you add in that bullpen too. I do like the offense on both sides here. Next game, Brewers, Cubs, Misiorowski, Ben Brown. Brown's been really good coming out of the bullpen there. He's transitioned to start here. I don't love this game from offense. Sure, Brewers are always going to fit my stack just because I'm a homer there, but they just score runs and stolen bases are always there. They're going to throw a shit ton of lefties against Ben Brown like they do every time they're facing a right-handed pitcher. I think the Brewers are interesting on the slate, and I won't be shocked on a slate where I don't expect a ton of home runs. Ben Brown does have good strikeout stuff, like I said, when you look at this year and last year, but to both sides of the plate. But he does give up a 15% barrel rate to lefties and a 207 ISO, right? So guys like Christian Yelich, who's come back on a tear, I think he's interesting. Bryce Terang, that little 2-man stack I think is really interesting there. Churrio's been solid. Like I said, you really want the lefties. Jake Bowers has been a beast. Garrett Mitchell. So the Terang, Yelich, Bowers, Mitchell, the 2, 4, 5, 7 is probably or somewhere in there. I think that's interesting on the slate. There is some wind kind of blowing from left to right. It's not like it was yesterday. Cubs bullpen, middle of the road. I think the Brewers as a full stack are interesting on a slate where I don't expect a ton of home runs. We know they don't hit home runs. They just score runs and kind of get there like old school baseball, right? Single, walk, stolen base, ball to the gap, things like that. And on a slate where I don't expect to be high scoring, you have to have some interest at least. in the Brewers stack. What do you see here?
Yeah, I'm not interested in playing any Cubbies, even though the weather is decent hitting weather over there. I mean, if you can't hit the ball, it don't matter what the damn weather's doing. So Cubbies, no thanks for me. I mean, you would get some decent leverage if you wanted to play any of the Cubbies. I mean, Michael Busch, we always like Busch, is sitting there in the 2-hole. I think that wouldn't be a bad play. We know how I usually like guys that get moved up in the lineup, but I see your point on the Brewers. I don't love it. I have them, fairly down a little bit because I do believe that could turn into, a bullpen type game too there for them. I don't know how long Brown's going to end up going, but yeah, I think there's other stacks we can play. I just, neither one of these two are really doing it for me.
Yeah, definitely not a top stack by any means, but on a slate where offense is pretty weak. Brewers have broken many slates, and they're going to be on as well here tonight, which I do think you want the lefties mainly against Ben Brown. Next spot on the slate up in Busch Stadium here, Liberatore, Mitch Keller on the mound. Cardinals, I think, are pretty damn interesting on this slate. I don't see them getting a lot of love. They're also super cheap for all the BVP guys out there. Nolan Gorman's going to be a core play for everyone out there. Dude has 3 home runs, so naturally that means he's going to hit another home run at least against Mitch Keller here tonight. I have the Cardinals pretty decent on the slate overall. They're going to throw a bunch of lefties at Mitch Keller there. Pirates bullpen, nothing crazy, middle of the road, 4 xFIP. What do you see here, Pirates and Cardinals in Busch Stadium? It is going to play decent for hitting here. I got to assume it's pretty hot here. Let me just see what the temperature is in Busch Stadium. I know the park typically isn't great for hitting, but that's kind of the theme of the slate here. Mid 60s, so not great, but what do you see here?
Yeah, I mean, I like the lefties for the Cards against Keller. Weatherholt, good spot. Burleson, Walker you throw in there. Gorman, as you mentioned, with his good pass. But, I mean, Keller, just so far this year, I mean, has not been good against lefties. I mean, he's got a walk percentage that's fairly high. You've got hold on a minute. I'm looking at something wrong here. Yeah, his walk percentage. I was looking at the wrong damn thing. But his lefties, his K rate is really low. His fly ball rate isn't bad. He's getting hard hit. So I think the lefties are the way to get to him. So yeah, for me, I think the lefties are definitely play. Walker, I think, is a pretty good play. But really, I mean, this one here, I kind of put in that same Brewers kind of bucket. You're right. I don't think there's going to be too much offense here today from the way it's, just the way it's projecting out. But, yeah, I don't love either one here today, either one of these teams. If I had to prefer anything, though, it'd be the lefties for the Cards.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It takes us to Coors Field. Rangers, Rockies. I believe we're going to see – I think Kumar Rocker's expected to come in kind of long relief. Not 100% certain. With the uncertainty, it does make me a little worried about the Rockies. I would have a lot more interest if Kumar Rocker was guaranteed to pitch. He probably is pretty likely, just because he can walk the whole team and then come over and you're looking at a 3-run or a grand slam there in Coors Field. The weather is also not great here for hitting. It's going to be the highest on stack on the slate in the Rangers. It's like mid 40s. I do have interest, though, more interest tonight than I did last night in the Rangers, just because of the nature of the slate. I mean, they're still fairly reasonably priced. I don't know. I think they're interesting, but on a slate where I'm kind of more inclined to play the chalkier pitching, I'm probably going to look at some of these other teams overall more so than Coors Field. But I do have more interest in Coors tonight than I did last night. What do you see here, though, in Coors Field?
Yeah, I mean, Rockies looks like they're going to use the bullpen. From what I'm seeing, it looks like it's supposed to be Kumar goes to White Castle from what I'm seeing. But, yeah, I think the Rockies are definitely interesting. They're going to be lower owned. I mean, both sides of this game here have higher team totals. I think the Rangers being in Coors today, especially against that Colorado bullpen, I think is fairly interesting. But I just don't love it, Nades. I got probably 4 maybe stacks probably higher than the Rangers today in Rockies. I'd say normally, like you're trying to tell yourself why you want to fade it. I just don't like it. So there's no easy fade for me. I'll definitely fade the Rangers. They're going to be getting some ownership there in Coors. And I guess if I was going to play either side just because of the ownership, I'd probably just rather play the Rockies.
Yeah, no, definitely plenty of other spots to go. But I do, like I said, I do think the Texas side is at least interesting because they don't hit a ton of home runs anyways, right? They're used to playing kind of, like I said, more similar to what the Brewers are, right? Kind of just put the ball in play, score that way, and that plays really, really well in Coors Field, right? Coors Field isn't a launch pad for home runs. It's just the outfield is massive. The elevation lets the ball travel to the gap, like I said yesterday. So that does help the case for the Rangers there. It's not like they're going to murder a bunch of home runs there. So the weather doesn't matter a ton for carry and things like that for when you're not really playing them just for the home run upside. Next spot on the slate. This is my favorite offense of the slate. It's the Angels in Anaheim. There is good hitting weather in this one. It is a good above average park for offense overall here in Angel Stadium, low 70s. You got some wind blowing out, nothing too crazy, but 5 to 10 miles an hour. It's just more a bet. Jacob Lopez is terrible. It's not the same matchup as yesterday, right? JT Ginn was my highest owned pitcher on the slate yesterday because he's like a Cy Young to righties. He is like a double-A pitcher to lefties. Well, Angels have shitty left-handed hitters. They have really good right-handed hitters that have a ton of power. And Jacob Lopez is terrible against righties, gives up a ton of fly balls. He's terrible. And the A's bullpen is ass too. I love the Angels here tonight. They're my top stack on the board. They're going to get owned, but Coors Field, both sides, is going to pull enough ownership away from them that I'm not really worried overall. If you want to get different, just play Oswaldo Peraza over Vaughn Grissom at the exact same salary, basically same position. Grissom's expected to bat leadoff. Peraza's expected to be in the middle of that lineup. I'll take Peraza, who hits lefties better than Grissom. I think they're obviously 1 through 9 all in play. I will say Jose Siri is probably the biggest pinch hit concern in this lineup, a little bit with Grissom as well. Those are the two main pinch hit guys in this one. I love the Angels here, though. What do you see in this one?
Yeah, I like the Angels, too. I mean, when you first look at it, I thought today, Nades, when I was looking at the slate, I was like, oh, yeah, Angels, maybe some Twins there against the Astros. You got some Dodgers, of course. And then you had the Coors Field game. And then I just started thinking, let's look into this a little bit more. And then you look at Jacob Lopez, like you said, that guy sucks, man. He's given up 6 home runs in his last 15 innings, Nades. He's just been absolutely terrible. But the thing that gets me right now is, Nades, it's just kind of killing me now, not making him my number 1 overall stack, is in the last week they can't hit themselves out of a fucking paper bag. Their OPS as a team is 428. It's like 150 points lower than the fucking next team above them. They suck in the last week, like literally suck. So either this is a total get-right game against Lopez and they're going to fucking nuke it tonight, or they're just going to keep on sucking. So to me, Nades, I mean, I would love to call my number 1 stack, but I always lay caution when a team can't hit in recent times, and the Angels fit that bill big time, man, like the big time. But then you weigh it out. You got Jacob Lopez, who's just been absolute ass, and that A's bullpen is ass. But I'll tell you what, if that A's bullpen was good, I wouldn't want nothing to do with the Angels, to be truthful with you. But that A's bullpen is not good at all. So, I do like the matchup for the Angels. I'm just concerned the Angels have just been bad. I mean, you look at them here, and like I said, they're at 428 in the last 7 days OPS. The next worst team is at 581. I mean, they're like just bad, Nate. So that is my concern, but maybe it is a good get-right spot for them. We know they're not that bad of a team. They're really cheap, too. I mean, that's the other thing. It's just another team you can stack up with those top 2 arms. I mean, even Trout's really not that expensive. Of course, Soler is going to be expensive, Adele, but I mean, it's a fairly cheap stack. So I think they're going to be fairly popular today. And, you start thinking about it like, man, they're not hitting. They're going to be popular. I understand why. It's to me, I want to like it, but Nades, it's like my inner self is telling me that's donkey chalk. You know what I mean? Like, You know what I'm saying? For, big guy in the sky is telling me this is donkey chalk. They can't fucking hit. So it's like, So that's my thing. Like, I want to like it, Nate. I really do. But then it's just part of me saying, like, no, man, I just can't. Like, they're just been bad. It's just hard for me to play a team that's been bad.
Yeah, no, I definitely get it. I mean, this dude just gets murdered against righties. Jacob Lopez does. And I'm going to take a shot. Adele, Neto, Peraza, Mike Trout, Soler are kind of the main five I'm looking at. Grissom would be the sixth guy. I don't care. I don't care what they've done for me lately. I think they're going to get played, but like I said, Coors Field's going to pull enough ownership away from them. They fit the builds. You can fit them with the expensive pitching, which I like. The A's bullpen's not good. It's good hitting weather. Everything points here. I do think the A's side of this game, though, are pretty damn interesting because nobody's going to play them. Everybody's going to be on Reid Detmers. Langeliers hits lefties really good historically. Rooker hits lefties really good. Bolte is super cheap, has a ton of potential, right? This dude is a double threat, power and speed. He's 2,800. Geloff, he's solid. Hernandez has been hitting lefties decent. I like both offenses in this one over a lot of the slate overall. So I'm going to be in on this game. Just the way my lineups are going to be. And I know the Angels have not been great lately, but I'm going to pay to find out. And hey, if they don't do it, guess what? There's another baseball slate tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and plenty more weeks ahead as well. And I'll be playing there. So that's the nature of it. Next spot, last three games on the slate, the late window here. White Sox, Mariners. I know we say Luis Castillo here. I think it's kind of up in the air between him and Bryce Miller. I don't really care either of them who it is because both of them are trash against lefties. And I know this park sucks for hitting, but I don't really think Murakami cares where the fuck he's hitting. I don't think Colson Montgomery cares where the fuck he's hitting. Jared Kelenic is 2,400, and this dude's been hitting bombs since he's come back up to the majors. Drew Romo, you got a switch hitting catcher who's shown a ton of power. I think the White Sox in this one are pretty interesting on a slate where we don't expect a lot of offense anyways, Gyiraszin. So I know Seattle doesn't – it's not a great spot to play bats from, but I don't know. The lefties for the White Sox in tournaments when nobody's playing them, I think it's pretty interesting against two pitchers who, are better at home, but have big splits against lefties compared to righties. What do you see in this one, Seattle and White Sox? I will say on the Mariners side, I think they fit the bill for mini stacks. Ref Schneider's probably only getting 2 at-bats once Anthony Kay's out of there. Don't expect him to see much longer. He's 2,200, could do it in his first 1 or 2 at-bats. I will say, though, J-Rod, Randy Arozarena are super interesting. Mitch Garver as a cheap catcher who historically has made a career and made a living on hitting left-handed pitching. Mariners are more mini stacks for me. White Sox are probably better as a mini stack, but I'm definitely going to have some full White Sox lefty stacks here against whoever goes for the Mariners. I expected to be Bryce Miller, but I did hear some stuff about Luis Castillo. Go ahead and break this one down.
Yeah, I mean, this one's interesting. I mean, the Mariners side I think is interesting. This Anthony Kay has just not been very good at all, especially against righties. His K percentage is like 11%, and his walk percentage is 12%. He's just been getting hit hard. 12% barrel rate to the righties. I mean, Julio, I believe he had a home run yesterday or the day before that I saw on the highlights. So, I mean, Julio gets going. That guy gets going. And Arozarena is the same kind of guy. Garver's always hit lefties well. Ref Schneider. I think, I mean, like you mentioned it before, we don't really like the park for offense. But I don't think there's anything that just stands out today as far as a position that the offenses are in that I really fear. So I think that the Mariners are a pretty good pivot off some of these other teams that people are going to play today that's in the late window. So if you want to maybe change up a stack that you think maybe the Angels coming in, you got all Angels and you're behind and you're not going to catch up, maybe pivot a little bit to some Mariners. I don't mind that at all here today. So I think the Mariners are interesting. That White Sox bullpen stinks. So definitely something to attack there. As far as the White Sox go offensively, I mean, Murakami's just making that lineup really good. Vargas has been hot. Montgomery fills out the shortstop position well. We're not really concerned about Bryce Miller or Luis Castillo as far as strikeouts go. So that's there. And the White Sox are one of the top hitting teams in baseball at the moment too. So they're definitely in play. They got some lefties with some power there. So definitely think they're another team you could change and pivot to. But if you ask me, I do like Seattle a little bit more. Like I said, K just hasn't been good so far to righties, and I do like the righties on Seattle. If I was to say Nades, I'd probably put Seattle around maybe fourth or fifth in my stacks today. I think Seattle's interesting to me.
Yeah, I like Seattle a lot more for a mini, personally myself, because Connor Joe's a pinch hit guy, Ref Schneider's a pinch hit splits guy. Yeah, it'd be a Rosarena, J-Rod, Mitch Garver, kind of the three main guys I like there. And I just like all the lefties. And you're going to see 7 lefties for the White Sox. So naturally, if there's 7 guys I think are playable against the starting pitching, that has more interest for a stacking perspective there. I know the park sucks. I know the weather's not great, but that's the synopsis of the slate. So I'll take a chance there.
The other thing with the Mariners, Nades, is K does give up some stolen bases too. So Julio, they could run on him a little bit.
Yeah, no, definitely Mariners are live for running. And in a game like this where they obviously play half their games at home, they know how hard it is to produce a ton of runs there. Rosarena will run. Josh Naylor will run too. He's got 12 stolen bases on the year. J-Rob. Those are the 3 main guys. Connor Joe will run too, but like I said, you're playing him. He's likely only going to get 2 at-bats there, which does hurt that a little bit, but he's 2,700, so not the end of the world there. And if he gets you a single and a stolen base, you're looking at 8 points. That could be enough for $2,700 on this slate. Next spot, Dodgers, Padres, Griffin canning, gas canning on the mound here. San Diego, not a great place for hitting, but the Dodgers not going to get played here. I know the Padres bullpen's really good. This is just a bet on talent against gas can in Griffin canning. You want the lefties, Tucker, Ohtani, Freddie Freeman. I mean, this lineup is just super, super deep. They're really good. Quote unquote, they've been scuffling, but they busted out for 15 runs over the weekend. They always have 10 plus runs in the repertoire anytime, no matter who it is, unless it's 9 innings of maybe Mason Miller or something like that, right? I think the Dodgers are really, really good here on this slate. And like I said, I mean, you're seeing them half as owned as the Angels, the Rangers, the Rockies even, right? I'll take a shot on the Dodgers. They are expensive is the issue, and we like to spend up pitching. Most Dodger stacks or Dodgers are probably going to have Reid Detmers, so maybe that's a spot where you go to Reid Nelson or you go to Liberatore instead of Detmers, and you play maybe like a Emmett Sheehan and one of those cheap guys to fit your Dodgers, because like we said, Gyiraszin, as good as the top arms are in Misiorowski and Cease and their upside, they do have a path to 20 DraftKings points, and at their salaries, that might not be enough if the Dodgers do their thing and those other guys get you 15, right? So it is a path where that top end pitching doesn't do enough where they're needed. Probably not as likely as them succeeding, but I did want to throw that out there. So what do you see here, Dodgers and the Padres?
Yeah, I really want to like the Dodgers the most today, but obviously with their salaries and the way we want to look at pitching, I think it's going to be tough to jam in the Dodgers, especially over on DK. FanDuel a little bit easier. They're not as priced up as high. But, gas canning, the dude sucks, man. He's given up like 13 earned runs in the 10 innings he's pitched. The last 2 starts out, he's given up 6 earned runs, Nades. I mean, he hasn't even been making it very long. Now, I will say the Padre bullpen's decent. So, that's definitely something of a little bit concern. But I think the Dodgers are going to be a lower owned position. I think they're in a better spot than like the Yankees are, obviously, with the Yankees pitching matchup they have there with Cease. But I do think the Dodgers, I want to have them come in as my top stack, but it's just tough because you got to make a concession down there in the pitching and go with a guy like you mentioned, a Liberatore or one of those lower end guys. So, obviously for me, like you mentioned, if I'm playing some Dodgers, I'll probably try to get a little bit different if you're on DK on the mound. But I think I can make it work with like Miz and some Dodgers or Cease and some Dodgers on FanDuel just because it's just a little easier pricing over there. But Griffin Canning's definitely a guy we want to go after. It's just too bad that bullpen's pretty decent today, or I'd really have the Dodgers ranked number one. But like I said, it was for me, I was like looking in between like the Twins, the Dodgers, the Angels. I was looking at those three teams, and the Angels, the thing that just, like I said, kept smacking you in the face is how bad they've been, lately. So, to me, I got them all up there in the top here today. But just because of the salary, the roster construction, I think the Dodgers are going to fall down a little bit more for me on DK, just because you're going to have to make that concession at pitching. But, man, I think the Dodgers are in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have the Dodgers ranked really high up my list here, even with that Padres bullpen there. But they're fairly taxed. The top end of that bullpen, I mean, 35, 33, 28. Two of those guys threw 25 and 22, including Mason Miller yesterday. So Mason Miller is likely unavailable in this game. I doubt they go back-to-back with him. Obviously, they're about to drop $360 million or whatever it is on him, making him the highest paid reliever in MLB history for a good reason, right? The dude's a freak. He threw 22 yesterday, right? So I don't think he's going to go back-to-back, right? He typically doesn't do that, especially when he threw 34 pitches 5 days ago or 4 days ago, right? So I do think that helps the case there for the stack. I know the park sucks, but there's not great hitting weather really outside of Yankee Stadium, right? And the Yankees are facing Dylan Cease and the best bullpen in baseball right there with Toronto. So, yeah. Next game on the slate, we're out in the desert. Roof is going to be open here. Landon Roop, Reid Nelson, two arms that we had interest in. I think you could play the Giants, though, here. Reid Nelson, when you peel back the onion here, Gyiraszin, we were just had interest in him because he was super cheap and he was a fraction of the ownership of Reid Detmers for cheaper. And the Giants have just not been a great offense this season against right-handed pitching at all. I still do think, I still do think that the Giants are fairly interesting on an overall pretty weak offensive slate here. You look at Nelson, he doesn't keep the ball on the ground. He's got a 60% fly ball rate to right-handed hitters over 56 plate appearances the last 30 days. That's damn near every fucking ball getting hit in the air. You look at the Giants, Casey Schmidt, I think is one of the best plays on the slate. That dude always hits the ball in the air. Susak, you got a super cheap catcher. If he's in there, Devers, Chapman, Arias, who never strikes out, ball's going to be put in play. Will Brennan, if he's in there, I think the Giants are pretty interesting in tournaments at no ownership. And you're going to see the Giants lower owned than Nelson on a slate where, I don't know, offense is pretty weak. It's good hitting weather here. It's mid 80s in the desert, and the D-backs bullpen is nothing crazy. Giants bullpen is terrible. So I think you could see runs in this game overall. I much prefer the Giants side than I do the Diamondback side, because Landon Roop is just a guy typically kind of goes out there, gets you 6 innings, limits damage. Diamondbacks could do it late game. They could do it against him, but I much prefer as a stack the Giants side of this one. What do you see to round us out?
Yeah, I think the Giants are really interesting. You just look at Reid Nelson's numbers from last year to this year. He's already pretty much been at 100 hitters on both sides of the plate so far this year, and his ground ball percentages are way lower than they were last year, like 42% to 28% to the left side. That's a huge difference. His fly ball rates are way higher, almost 8% points higher on the left side. And he's at a 50% fly ball rate to the right side. Now, that's definitely concerning if you're looking at that. He's really not he's getting barreled up on both sides. His his BABIPs are pretty high. So I think Devers is interesting too as a one-off type play. But yeah, they got some pop there at the top of that lineup. So I think that's definitely interesting. Arizona's bullpen's on the better side of things. I wouldn't say it's bad or great for any matter, but they are decent. But I think Nelson's definitely attackable. I think, like out there in Arizona, I don't think anybody's going to replay him. They're another cheap stack, and that's just another team needs that's in that late window. Like I was trying to explain how the slate's broken up here tonight, the way it's broken up. So if you're way behind or you're behind and you look and you got guys that looks like, they got still 3-4 hitters left coming in, and you're pretty much guessing it's probably going to be some Angels. Well, switch to some Mariners, maybe switch to some Giants. I think that would be a good way to maybe to try to get yourself in a bit better position to get some cash tonight. So Yeah, I like the way the slate's broken up, Nades. I think it's interesting. We got 2 high-end pitching that it really isn't being talked about. I think we got some bats that we can play that are going to be fairly cheap. Don't have really too many high, team totals that are 1.5, 2 runs higher than anybody else. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good Tuesday night of baseball. We're going to see a bunch of shipping logos like usual up there at the top of these tourneys. Hopefully it just says Gyiraszin next to it. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Should be a pretty fun slate tonight.
Yeah, should be fun. Let's close it out how we always do. Your favorite 2 pitching pairing, your top 3 stacks, and then a home run call for the people.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Miz and Cease is my favorite there. But like I said, if you wanna mix it up a little bit, I think Landon Roop's interesting. I mean, if you wanted to go Nielsen Everlow, I just sat and ripped on it for a couple of minutes. But yeah, I think for me, I'd probably stay up in the high end. As far as stacks, like I said, Twins, Angels, Dodgers for me are definitely all up there. And if we're gonna call a home run call, I'm just gonna go to you know what? I'll go with the Dodgers. And against Gas Can, I'm gonna go with Free Money Freddie to hit me a home run tonight.
Freddie's going to find some power in his bat and hit one deep in San Diego. I do like that. I really like pairing Miz and Cease together as well. But I'll say Miz and Emmett Sheehan for the case of the show to be a little different than you. Angels going to be my top overall offense. I know we do differ there. I think the White Sox lefties are very interesting. I think the Giants are super, super interesting. And then at no ownership, I think the Yankees have definitely a ton of power to break the slate overall on the slate. My home run call, I'm going to the Giants. I'm going to Casey Schmidt. Talked about him a ton. Price is nice. He's been murdering baseballs. Fly ball guy in Nelson. I mean, you're talking a 50% fly ball rate in 100 plate appearances. That's absurd. Usually you're seeing like the 25-30% range. He's significantly almost twice as bad as majority of the starting pitchers in this league. So I'll take my chances there. Casey Schmidt to close out the show. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. If you're not a member yet, shipitnation.com. Trial for $19. You get 5 days, all access, all sports, including SaberSim for $19. MLB only, $40 a month with an optimizer. Can't even go to SaberSim.com and get SaberSim alone for under $100. For Gyiraszin, I'm Nades. Like I said, good luck tonight. Hope to see those Shipping Nation logos at the top. We'll see you tomorrow. We're out here. Peace.